back everyone, back to the Horror Master YouTube channel, and welcome back to day 3 of a 31 Days of Horror series where I rank a more horror movie franchise every day for the next 31 days of Halloween. If you have yet to see my latest 2 videos, I highly suggest you all to go back and watch both when I did both Child's Play and the Candyman series, which those 2 videos were a lot of fun. Like I said, all these videos I've been doing have been a lot of fun because I actually go back and rewatch some of these movies. It's been sometimes months to even years that I've tackled. So on this latest edition of the 31 Days of Horror, I mentioned on the end of my last video, we're gonna be ranking all of the Carrie movies, and there's 4 of them, which has to show you that Carrie is one of those Stephen King characters that, I mean, of course, the book is probably one of his most infamous, next to something like The Shining or It. But to me, Carrie has always been one of those characters that, the typical prom, at the prom and all that. But it's one of those characters that not a lot of people mention. Oh, like one of the most iconic horror movie characters, which she should get more respect to credits due. But enough doing that. We have 4 movies that we're gonna rank. I honestly, I'm gonna be shocked. I didn't know there was a 4th movie until I was doing research for this um video, which again gets to show you how much of a big of a horror fan I am. I mean, even the biggest horror fan cannot know every single horror movie. I mean, if you are, I mean, that's one big of achievement. But regardless of that, let's get into the ranking mode. Start up at number 4. At the bottom of the barrel, we have Carrie, the 2002 version. Now, like I mentioned before, I didn't know there was a 4th movie, and this is the one that I never knew ever existed. And I think for good reason why a lot of people didn't watch it or wasn't reserved well. So this came out in 2002. This was but the way that they shot this, it felt like it was like a mini series, like almost I want to say every 10 to 15 minutes, it was like a cutaway, turn to blank, and start up the next part of the story. So I felt this was intended to be a mini series or a parter series down the road, but I don't know. Guess you can find the whole movie in its entirety somewhere. And when I first realized this movie came out in 2002, I was like, it can't be that bad. Oh boy, was it bad! I mean, the effects on this movie were so bad. I mean, the CGI wasn't the greatest. The acting felt a bit too weird for my taste. I don't know. I felt like the acting wasn't there. Then again, this was a kind of like a home to video kind of for TV spot movie. So, I guess that's for that the case. But the production wasn't great. The story itself, I mean, I like the one thing that I will give them credit was they actually tell the story in a different way instead of going how it usually goes in the book and in the later ones we're going to talk about. They kind of take a perspective from the people who survived, of course, the prom tragedy, and the investigators they start to tell as people who survived, what was Carrie and why, everything that led up to the events of that prom night. So other people survived the prom. They were starting to tell the story to the detective, and that's how the story went along. And of course, in this iteration, it's the only iteration I don't know, even in the book, like I said, it's been years I've read the book. It's the only iteration that Carrie actually survives. Yeah, I was shocked because of course we all know that Carrie dies at the very end. I was shocked that in this film, Carrie actually survived. So I'll give him credit for that, for kind of changing the story. But again, the CGI, some of the special effects are just so bad. Some of the dialogue is, again, it's one of those movies that you can watch it for the sake of watching it, but I wouldn't recommend this movie, not at all. So, if you're ever, as a curiosity, watch it, but I only just say, just watch it once and probably never watch it again. Again, it's not the worst movie I've ever seen, but it's not the best. I'll just leave it at that. At number 3, we have The Rage Carrie II. Now, this is the only sequel that's it from the original. So the story is that, of course, Carrie long story short, Carrie has a sister, and you know, it's almost kind of the way from the origin, but not really, to the point that the main character, I'm forgetting her fucking name at the top of my head. Editing people. Let's see if I can remember her fucking name. Let me just find the name of the people. Shit, I'm forgetting her name. Rachel. Her name is Rachel. The character's name is Rachel. Rachel, and of course, she doesn't realize that she is the half sister of Carrie. Who, of course, his father is the same father as Carrie's father, and of course, he kind of gave her the same genes Carrie had at part one. So the mother is kind of to the same point of as crazy, or even crazier than the mother of Carrie's mother in the first film, but she tries to prevent her from becoming what Carrie became at the end of the prom. So she tries to do that, and the one thing I remember watching this movie, God, I must have been like maybe 12, 13 when they used to give that movie around Halloween time in Canal 7. Of course, that's a Mexican channel, and they used to give that movie a lot. I like the fact that the way that she would transform was that her tattoo would go all the way across, her hand, her face, kind of like the thorns in the veins, and when she was in her that mood, it would turn black and white. I mean, the movie would turn black and white, so I thought that was really, really cool. A bit better of terms of acting. Probably one of the most forgettable sequels you can actually think of, because nothing's gonna, of course, doesn't even come close to the original. But it's one of those movies that, of course, was done because of the hype of Carrie at the time, which honestly, I don't know why. I mean, it took them probably close to 20 years, maybe about 20 years to make the sequel. So I don't know. I guess they just wanted a cash grab just for the hell of it. But it's a way better movie than I remember, because, like I said, at the time, I didn't know what I was watching. Not as a big horror fan as I am right now, but as a movie, it's got some decent moments. At number 2, we have Carrie, the 2013 remake. Now, when this movie was first announced, at the time, I was one of those people that once there was a remake of a film, I was being like, oh, bullshit, it's gonna be fucking hell, it's gonna be, the worst thing in the world's gonna happen. And then they started mentioning the cast. And when they announced Chloe Grace Moretz as Carrie, I was like, okay, I'll give this movie a shot, because I personally like Chloe. I think she's a great actress. She's an underrated actress, and she's later, of course, in Kick-Ass. I mean, that's how most of us kind of discover her. Excuse me. A lot of people discover her because of Kick-Ass, and I was like, I wonder how she's gonna be able to portray the character into her own, vision, into her own, her own way. And this movie, I like the movie because it takes a more modern version of the film. Instead of being in the 1970s, it takes place in, of course, in the 2010s, and of course with technology and all that, bullying and all that, and more hyped up than ever. So I really love this movie. The gore was there, the story was there. Julianne Moore as Carrie's mom. I think she did an outstanding performance, and a bit creepy at most. A lot of people kind of shit on this film because a lot of remakes aren't the best. I say this is probably one of the best remakes in terms of horror films. Not the best remake by a long shot, not the worst, but it's a passable remake. So, just if you ever have a chance to watch this film, I highly suggest you all to watch it, because it's a really, 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 really good movie. Close, and I mean, like I said, at number 2, to have it this high on my list says a lot to me, as impactful as it was back in 2013, and still impactful as it is right now in 2022. But of course, at number 1, we have Carrie, the original 1976 film. this is a this is a classic among horror films. At the time, a really underrated film. A lot of people really didn't give the respect it deserved. But of course, as time went by, it got more hyped. It got more of a recognition. Now to the point that they made a fucking pop out of her, and which I have on my show, which I should have brought it, but I'm just lazy to get it. But you know, it's just one of those iconic films that has stood the test of time. When you have CC Spacek as Carrie, of course, the iconic CC Spacek. I mean, what more can you want? When you have a young John Travolta, that I always, every time I watch this film, I always forget that John Travolta was in this film, because you never associate John Travolta with Carrie or with a horror film. You always associate him with Grace or Saturday Night Live. So again, it was really, really amazing. Of course, the prom scene when she's covered in the blood. Of course, it's one of the most iconic scenes in horror that has been used and done and redone until the end of time. It's one of those films that has influenced so much. I mean, to the point that it's become probably probably one of the top 100 scary films of all time. I mean, I'm not saying it's a scary film. I mean, it has suspense to it, a bit of romance, the typical teenager hormones vibe of the 70s, when, like I said, we're more innocent, if I can say that in quotations. I don't know. But it's one of those films that a lot of people, a lot of film students have been able to watch and analyze and written papers about, because it's so unique. I mean, in terms of Stephen King films, it's probably maybe top 5 films in terms of Stephen King's film adaptations. So, for those reasons, that's why Carrie, the 1976 version, takes the crown. And like I said, if you have not seen this movie, what the hell are you doing here? Do you ever call yourself a horror fan? But it all jokes aside, please, and I suggest you please watch this film. It's really, really, really good. And that does it for this video, guys. I hope you guys really enjoyed this this little rankum all. Again, I'm been really having a lot of fun doing this rankum alls. We're just barely on day 3. Of course, we got on the other 20 day 3, other 28 days to go. So stay tuned for 28 more, rank them off in the future as the time progresses. Next video, for tomorrow's video, I'm gonna be ranking all of the Exorcist films, all 5 films of them, which that was a daunting task, because some of those films I haven't seen in years. One of them I just recently watched, so stay tuned for that. Again, I hope you guys are really enjoying this ranking months and bringing you guys. These have been a lot of fun, and one day closer to Halloween, guys. And I think if you kind of know me, you kind of can guess what the 31 days the ranking month's gonna be. But it's a surprise. I'm gonna keep it a surprise. But like I said, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do the all usual stuff. Follow me on my Instagram, follow me on my Twitter when you see more updates on myself and what I do. And like I said, hope you guys stay along for the ride. And until next time, stay metal.